Cheltenham bumper, providing John Kiley with his first winner at the Cheltenham Festival. And of course John Gleeson, what a day it was for him as well. 18 years of age, studying his leaving cert, bred by, of course, his parents, Brian and Claire, and owned, of course, by JP McManus. But looks a straightforward task for Farinilli here in his second run over hurdles. He'll come on as well for that initial outing over hurdles, jumping wise too. Of the rest, in Clodder's Dream, he looks exposed, fifth run over hurdles, well beaten. Number 2-3 at Naas the last day, was ridden quite prominently, just lacks a gear. Jody McGarvey on board here now today, replacing the injured Sam Ewing, as we said. Unfortunately broke his arm across in the UK on Friday afternoon, but he was well beaten behind Captain's Nephew as well when he finished second on that occasion. That was at Clonmel back in February, and soft ground as well. But for me, as I say, he was ridden quite prominently the last day, and dropped away after 2 out, was subsequently beaten 12 lengths that day. It's time to move on. As we saw in the parade beforehand, he's a massive big son of Flemonsford. It's just getting a little bit warm down at the start, starting to sweat a bit, but it is quite a muggy afternoon here, and I thought that was a cracking run the last day. Wasn't beaten all that far on his third start over hurdles, beaten 6 1/4 lengths by Bailey stock of Willie Mullins. Is the second. Dennis Hogan's horse come out and won at Navan subsequently as well, but he's one that's open to more improvement. But as I say, Farinilli's form is rock solid, and it should be a straightforward task in what isn't the strongest of hurdles.
2 miles and 3 and 12 flights of hurdles ahead of them, and as they head up the far side towards the first, disputing the early lead on the outside is Farinilli with alongside Clodder's Dream. They're just a length in front of Lyndon Arden. Then towards the inside, it's time to move on. As they reach the first, Clodder's Dream led. Farinilli deliberate at the first was Grange Pearl in mid-division as they head on to flight number 2. Clodder's Dream on the inside of Farinilli. They show in front of it's time to move on, jumping up to share third spot with Lyndon Arden, a break of about 2.5 lengths then to Grange Pearl. Behind Grange Pearl is Glen Abbey as they go to the third. Yewood is on the outside, and at the back of the field is the Shantou King. As they continue to climb, heading for flight number 4 before beginning the descent. Going along on the inside, Clodder's Dream, Jody McGarvey sharing the lead with the long odds-on favourite Farinilli Dunamyler. Less than 2 lengths away to Lyndon Arden and Brian Hayes in third spot. Towards the inside is It's Time to Move On, Simon Torrance, followed by Grange Pearl, Jack Gilligan jumping in 5th. Then towards the outside, Yewood, the green and red, John Shinnick, and the inside is Glen Abbey and Conor McNamara. And bringing up the rear as they run downhill is the Shantou King and Cian Cullinan. Good run now before they reach the first of the 2 flights in the straight. And continuing to share the lead. On the inside, the red and white colours of Clodder's Dream. Alongside is Farinilli. They're 2 lengths in front of Lyndon Arden, tracked on the descent by It's Time to Move On in 4th. The maroon and white of Grange Pearl on the outside of Glen Abbey, and at the back Yewood, the outside of the Shantou King. As they make the swing into the straight, heading for flights 5 and 6 before passing the stands and heading out on another circuit. The inside, Clodder's Dream with Farinilli, the blue colours on the outer. They're followed by Lyndon Arden in third spot as they come to jump this flight. Clodder's Dream, Farinilli, Lyndon Arden to the centre of the course in the green and red. Towards the inside with the white cap, It's Time to Move On. They continue to be the leading quartet as they clear the flight. That'll be the last one out for another circuit. Behind that quartet, Grange Pearl towards the inner Glen Abbey. Yewood and the Shantou King remain the final pair as they head up to pass the judge. Long run now before they reach the first of the 4 flights up the far side. Still not much to choose between the leading pair, Clodder's Dream with the narrow advantage over Farinilli. Just about 2.5 lengths then to Lyndon Arden in third. It's Time to Move On the inside, a clear break then of about 4 lengths to Grange Pearl ahead of Glen Abbey, and at the back Yewood on the outside of the Shantou King. As they continue around the sweeping turn that'll bring them into the back straight, nearing the halfway stage. Clodder's Dream and Farinilli. Lyndon Arden, It's Time to Move On, and then a break to Grange Pearl. Glen Abbey next, Yewood up on the outside, and between horses at the back is the Shantou King as they're completing a circuit, heading to flight number 7. Clodder's Dream on the inside, Jody McGarvey disputing the lead with Farinilli, Dunamyler on the outer, a little over a length away now to Lyndon Arden, Brian Hayes in third as they jump this one. Clodder's Dream increases advantage, leads by less than a length. Farinilli second, Linden Arden. It's time to move on in fourth spot, a break of a few lengths then to Glen Abbey landed fifth, ahead of Grange Pearl, Ye Wood, and at the back the Shantou King. So just 4 flights to jump as they go and jump the next. Clodder's Dream and Farinilli, less than a length between them. They've moved on, about 4 in front. Linden Arden now trying to close again with on the inside. It's time to move on. A clear break of about 6 lengths then to Ye Wood. The Shantou King have moved past both Glen Abbey and Grange Pearl as they go to jump the flight at the top of the track. Clodder's Dream and Farinilli separated by half a length. Chasing them in third is Linden Arden, fourth spot. It's time to move on. Then a break of about 5 lengths. The next pair trying to close, the Shantou King and Ye Wood, and they've moved away from the final pair, Glen Abbey and the overall back marker Grange Pearl. As they approach the turn in, still as it's been from Flagfall, Clodder's Dream and Farinilli out in front. Linden Arden pushed along on the inside. It's time to move on, trying to close behind them the Shantou King as they straighten up and head up the straight with 2 to jump. Farinilli stands side in the blue, narrow leader now. Clodder's Dream, the red and white, the inside. Linden Arden is just behind them and challenging on the outside between the last 2 flights. And a faller at the second last with the Shantou King as they come to jump the last. Over on the far side, Farinilli from Linden Arden in second. It's time to move on back in third, and then Clodder's Dream. But with little over 100 yards to race, the long odds-on favourite Farinilli stretching away, who's going to open his account over hurls for Paul Byrne. Emmett Mullins and Dunamyler. Linden Arden second. It's time to move on third, clear of Clodder's Dream.
Yeah, it's very straightforward. For our long odds on favourite, Farinilli gets off the mark. Second time of asking over hurl. Jumped quite well today, and the hole was ridden quite straightforwardly. Sat up sides Clodder's Dream, who's weakened away quite tamely. A little bit the same as what happened to Nace the last day, to be fair. He's well beaten as in the finish up. At 6-1 on, there's a good sign anyway. King Cullinan is none the worse from a heavy fall. He took off the Shantou King, both horse and rider, none the worse from a heavy fall at a 2 out. But Farinilli, pick him up as they just turn into the straight here. Now Jody McGarvey just starts to roll on Clodder's Dream, but he's found very little for pressure and is weakened quite tamely. Look how well our odds on favourite is travelling here. And 2 years prick down to the second last. See that horrible fall of the Shantou King. He just stepped straight into it. But down to the last, Dunamyler again meets it spot on. And he's just lengthened away underneath him, to be fair. And Dunamyler can afford to take a look under his left shoulder. He sees he's the race put to bed, and this horse has won quite well indeed. Emmett Mullins has found an easy opportunity for Nilly to get off the mark second time of asking over hurls. He had a good level of form and bumpers. As we said, that was a cracking run. His final run, the bumper went third, beaten 10 lengths by a Dream to Share and Factor File, of course, in a Grade 2 bumper at the Dublin Racing Festival. And won this run a cracker is the second horse, Linden Arden, on his third start over hurls, by far his best run to date. He was well beaten on his penultimate start. That was a Punchestown, his first run over hurdles back in February time. And even his last run, he was 12.5 lengths behind Clodder's Dream. He's really turned the form around with him. Travelled really well throughout. Out of the good mare, one of, I think, Solarina's last foals, actually. I stand to be corrected on that. But he stepped forward nicely, and there's definitely a race going to be won with him. He travelled really well throughout as well. Pádraig Roach's horse, it's time to move on. I wouldn't give up hope on him. He's still a work in progress. Carries his head a little bit high. Just looked a bit one-paced as well, but he's run well. There's definitely races to be won with him. Clodder's Dream, very disappointing. There's another angle at that horrible fall. The King Cullinan and the Shantou King took 2 out. Thankfully, they're none the worse from it. But a good performance by Farinilli, as we said beforehand. It looked an ideal opportunity, and barring an accident, it looked a formality that he would get off the mark. In the colours of owner Paul Byrne on his second time of asking over hurls under hands and heels right by winning jockey Dunamyler.